You hatch, not beneath the warm canopy of a jungle or the comfort of a burrow, but under sterile, white LED lighting inside a glass box lined with paper towels. No dirt, no insects, no natural sounds, just the hum of an overhead vent and the cold stare of a lab assistant scribbling on a clipboard. Congratulations, you're a lab snake. Your destiny? Not to slither freely through grass or curl under sun-warmed rocks, but to be handled, monitored, tested, and written about in papers with titles like Reptilian Biometrics and Controlled Variables. From day one, you're treated less like a living being and more like a research tool. Within hours, a gloved hand lifts you midair like you're an item off a grocery shelf. You're scanned, measured, tagged, and recorded in a file thicker than most human resumes. Every inch of your body is logged. Your weight, your tongue flick rate, even the way your scales reflect light under different bulbs. They take so many notes you'd think you were applying for national security clearance. And let's talk about privacy, or the total absence of it. Cameras watch your movements 24/7. Every feeding, every shed, every twitch gets documented. It would make you wonder if the concept of privacy is just a human myth. You're constantly observed through glass, as if your entire life is just an endless reptile reality show, except there's no prize at the end, only more data. They call it baseline monitoring. You call it being micromanaged into madness. You can't even flick your tongue without someone noting it down and comparing it to yesterday's flick count. Some snakes are studied for growth rate, others for temperament. You? You're apparently perfect for longitudinal stress response measurement, which in plain language means they're going to stress you out and see how long it takes before your body starts breaking down. There's no mother to teach you how to hunt, no siblings to compete with, no forest to explore. Your world is glass walls, temperature sensors, feeding tongs, and lab coats. And since you've never known the wild, you don't even miss it. You don't know what it's like to feel the sun through leaves, or to bury into real soil. You've never seen a bird, a bug, or even the sky. This enclosure is the only space you've ever known. And so in your small primitive brain, it becomes the entire world. You don't understand the people who feed you, but you notice patterns. The sound of a door opens, a shadow approaches, food drops in, part of you begins to associate the hand with safety. That white-coated figure isn't your mother, but you feel calm when she appears. Maybe in some distant, twisted version of instinct, you think she is. She doesn't curl around you. She doesn't stay, but she doesn't hurt you, at least not yet. You don't question it. There's nothing else to imagine. You don't miss freedom because you never had it. You don't long for the wild because you don't know what wild means. You don't even realize that this isn't how it's supposed to be. You were born in a box, for a box. This glass world is all there is. You didn't ask for it, but here you are. Welcome to your life as a lab snake. You're older now, longer, heavier, stronger, but none of that matters here. Because in the lab, adulthood doesn't mean freedom. It means your body is now fit for more invasive testing. The first thing they sign you up for? Venom extraction. If you're one of the unlucky venomous ones, maybe a rattlesnake, cobra, or viper, you're in for a lifelong job you didn't apply for. Every few days, they secure your head and press your fangs into a thin film stretched over a glass jar. You feel the pressure, then the reflex. Your venom drips out while your heart races like you're in a life or death hunt. Except you're not. You're just fueling another anti-venom batch that'll sit on a pharmacy shelf. That's right. Your biological weapon is being bottled for human emergencies. Noble purpose? Maybe. Miserable experience? Absolutely. If you're non-venomous, welcome to the neurological mapping chamber. You're fitted with surface electrodes and then exposed to flashing lights and sudden noises while they monitor your brain's electric response. It's not painful, but it's relentless. Day after day, you're asked to perform in a world that never made sense to you. You're also placed in startle response testing rooms. A puff of air, a vibration, an unexpected jolt to the floor. They're recording your reflexes to sudden stimuli. They do it hundreds of times to find a pattern. The only thing you learn is when to flinch. They run thermal variation trials. 1 week, heat lamps make your cage sweltering. The next, cold mist drops your body temperature dangerously. Your digestion slows. Your heartbeat flutters. They write it all down. You participate in chemical absorption tests, where synthetic substances are applied to your skin or tongue. You're watched closely for swelling, drooling, skin blistering, any sign of toxic absorption. There's no relief, only observation. One day, something strange happens. You dream. Or maybe it's just your brain reacting to too many flashes and too little rest. In your mind, there's a river, a rock warmed by sunlight. You coil comfortably, feel wind across your body, then the buzzer sounds, the door slams, and the dream dissolves. Across the room, you spot a python hooked up to heart monitors for physiology mapping. Electrodes blink with each breath. A garter snake writhes under artificial heat, part of a climate resilience study. They're testing how reptiles might survive global warming. Spoiler alert, it's not going well. And the worst? A tray of preserved snake organs, pickled, labeled, dissected. You don't even have eyelids, and yet you wish you could close your eyes. Sometimes you hear them talk. Reptiles are ideal for long-term observation, low maintenance, high data output. They speak like your equipment, not alive. A barcode with a heartbeat. But you feel the pain, the fatigue, the slow erosion of instinct. And slowly you stop reacting. You start existing. You don't know it yet, but your usefulness is almost done. The next round of replacements has hatched. They're growing, just like you once did. You, meanwhile, are being prepared for your final phase. You're not young anymore. Your movements are slow. Your feeding responses are dull. Your venom yield is unpredictable. You are no longer a priority. Your new trials are final ones, multi-tissue stress simulations, metabolic shutdown tests, and non-survival endpoint observations. You're placed in new chambers. You feel the temperature shift. You feel your breathing labor. You don't know what they're testing, but you know you're nearing the end. Sometimes you're introduced to other animals, frogs, mice, other reptiles, in multi-species exposure trials. They're testing disease transmission, behavioral overlap, stress contagion. The results don't matter to you. The experience does. You see them prep for dissection before you're even gone. Tools clink nearby. Your records are printed out. A new tag is scanned. Before the final procedure, you're left alone for days. No new trials, no notes, just silence. For a moment, it almost feels like peace. And then the cold gloves return. The light, the needle. You feel your body weaken. You don't fight it. Your last breath is recorded by a machine. Your body is taken for harvesting. And just like that, you're no longer a snake. Your data, frozen tissue, preserved function,